place was haunted. So disturbed by what they had witnessed, the last tenants deserted the spacious home with no hope of recouping any of their investment into the property. An effort, they said, to escape the horrible stain the apparition had left on their waking hours. And for a long time, the home sat empty, abandoned and deemed uninhabitable for the living. That is until Athen moved into town. A teacher and philosopher, Athen wasn't one to succumb to the imaginations of the dark. And when he learned of the empty home, especially its ghostly inhabitant, he set his mind to live there. It didn't take him long to discover the fanciful tales of the haunted house were not mere tricks of an overactive imagination. On his very first night, he stayed up late writing by candlelight when he heard what sounded like metal scraping against the tile floor. Athen barely lifted a brow at the intrusion, continuing his work as if the sound was only a minor nuisance. The sound grew louder and closer until the apparition appeared in the doorway leading to his room. Alas, Athen finally looked up. There he saw the ghastly remnants of a man with mangled flesh hanging from his bones as if it were strips of tattered clothing. The dead man's wrists and ankles were bound with iron chains, and he peered at Athen from darkened eye sockets with a look of expectation, as if he was waiting for Athen to scream or faint or run away. Instead, Athen regarded the apparition for a moment, then raising a finger, gestured for the ghost to wait. The apparition was caught off guard by this, and flashing his annoyance, resorted to rattling his chains above Athen's head as the teacher continued his writing. Finally, Athen had enough. Sighing, he stood up, indicating he was ready to hear the apparition out. The ghost didn't speak, but turned from Athen and began shuffling down the hall. Athen followed the ghost into the yard, where it suddenly disappeared. Wasting little time, Athen marked the spot with leaves and grass. The next day, Athen called for the authorities, instructing them to dig at that very spot. To their shock, but little surprise to Athen, they discovered the corpse of a man in chains with evidence that he'd been tortured before death. The corpse was removed and given a dignified burial. His ghost was never seen again, having departed in peace. The story you just heard is one of the very first supposedly true ghost stories ever recorded in Western history. It comes from the Roman writer and politician Pliny the Younger, who, writing in the 2nd century AD, recounted this story to a friend in a letter. Athen, or Athenodorus as he was really known, was a Stoic philosopher who happened to live in a haunted house in Athens, Greece. That's right, the story takes place in ancient Greece. And you gotta love how he put his Stoic philosophy into practice when he met the ghost. I know I didn't have that same reaction when I had a supernatural encounter of my own. But that's a story for another day. Another cool thing about Athenodorus was that he really was a teacher. You probably haven't heard of him though, but there's a good chance you've heard of one of his students. His name was Gaius Octavius, also known as Augustus. That's right, the first emperor of Rome. Pretty neat, huh? In that same letter, Pliny the Younger recounts a couple more supernatural experiences, but you'll have to wait for a future video to hear about them. In the meantime, check out more lore and legends. I have stories about monsters, ghosts, cryptids, time slips, all kinds of stuff. And please give this video a like, or say hi, both of which will please the YouTube algorithm and help this channel grow. It isn't about views right now on YouTube, it's about likes and comments, so please help me out. This is author and teacher Sean C. McMurray. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. God bless.